Hello and welcome. In this session, we will learn how we can create a very basic simple script with Selenium Java, and then we will understand all its components, and then we will run the script and check the result. This is going to be very easy and very interesting, and I will start from scratch, and whenever you have any questions, you can let me know. So let's get started, and I will open my Eclipse IDE. So we have already created a project here in the earlier session. Okay, so here we have this test package. I'm going to create a new class here, so I will do right click here and say new, and I will say class. So this will create a Java class, so I will call it as basic script 1. You can name it anything, and I will say finish. So this creates a Java class. So you can see in Java at the top, if your class is inside a package, it will show the package name and then the class, public class, and the class name with a curly bracket start and stop. Now inside the class, I will create a main method. Main method is the starting point in Java. So we have to create a main method. So you can say main, and when you press Ctrl plus spacebar on your keyboard, that's Ctrl plus space, you will see this main method auto completion. So I can just click here and this will complete the declaration of the main method, so which is public static void main, and this is how you create it. You can manually type as well, or you can just say main and then press Ctrl spacebar on your keyboard and can auto complete. Okay, now we will start creating our script. So now the very first thing is we start by saying WebDriver. So WebDriver is the interface in Selenium, and this is how we start any Selenium script. Okay, now here one thing you can do is we have already added Selenium dependencies in the last session, which is in our pom.xml. So if I go back to my pom.xml, you can see our Selenium dependencies are here. Okay, so I can directly just go here, and I have not completed writing WebDriver completely. I will just go here and press Ctrl plus space on my keyboard, and you can see it is giving me an option. Do you want this WebDriver interface which is coming from org.openqa.selenium, and this is what we need. And if you do like this, it will also import the required libraries. So let me show you. I will click here and you can see it has imported this WebDriver from Selenium library. So I will say WebDriver, and then I will give any name. Generally we say driver equals new. Now here, based on the browser we want to use, we can give the class. For example, if you want to use Chrome, you can say Chrome driver, and again you can press Ctrl space on your keyboard, and you can see this is what we need coming from the Selenium library. So you can just hit enter or double click here, and you can see it has auto completed and also has added the required imports. So this can be very handy if you create script like this. It will also add the required imports and your script will not show any errors. Okay, so you can save by pressing Ctrl S, or you can just go here and save your script. Now let me take you to the Selenium documentation. So I'm here in this is the official website of Selenium, that is selenium.dev. and if I go to the documentation here, so I'm going here to the documentation, and I will go to WebDriver, getting started, and I will go to first script. So you can see here, you can see the basic components of any basic Selenium script. So the first thing is we start the session by saying this WebDriver driver equals new Chrome driver, or it can be a Firefox driver or Edge driver based on the browser you want to use. And you can see here this is for Java. If you are using Python, this is how we will write this. For C#, Ruby, JavaScript, Kotlin. So this is the start of the session in a Selenium script. Okay, so this is what we have done here. Okay, now once we have declared driver, and you can see this driver is, there is a yellow line shown here and also a icon here, and the reason this is shown here is because this local variable, that is driver, is not yet used in the script, and that is why it is shown with a yellow sign here. But if I now use it, I will say driver and then dot, and you can see as I press dot, I can get I'm getting so many options that I can use with driver. So all these are the functions that I can use here, that is driver.close, driver.find element, driver.get. So the first thing is, for our testing, the very first thing is we have to go to some particular website or a URL. So this is what we will be using, that is driver.get the URL. So I will select this, and here in the brackets we have to give the URL within double quotes, and this is what you can see here. Next, this is driver.get and the URL. And the reason I'm showing you this is because you can refer this at your time, and in future if there are any changes, you can always refer the latest examples and the latest scripts from here, and it will be very handy and very easy for you. Okay, so let's say now I have to go to some URL. So I'm going to go to this URL or this website. Okay, so I will just add the URL within the double quotes here. So let me also show you, this is what the URL is. This is the website. So here we have the login, this is the email, and this is the password, and then we can log into this website. So this is what we will try to automate or try to create a script for. Okay, so this is the second thing we have done here. We have to take action on the browser. So the first thing is we will go to the URL or go to our website, and then we can also, before doing anything on the website, if you want to get some information from the website, for example, get the title of the website, you can also use these functions like get title. So let me show you. After visiting this, if I say driver.get, and you can see here we have get current URL, get page source, get title, get windows handle. I will say get title. Okay, now this will return a string. So if you hover over this function and press control on your space bar, control key on your keyboard, and hover over this, it turns into a link, and then you can see you can open declaration or implementation. So if I go here, this shows me like this, and if I again go and press control on my keyboard and say open return type, so here you can see the return type is string. Okay, so that means if I have to store whatever is the return of this function, if I have to store, I will have to store it as a string. So I can say string, and I can give any name or variable, like let's say title equals driver.getTitle. And if I have to print this, in Java we use the command system.out.println, and the shortcut is you can just say syso and then press control plus space on your keyboard, and here select this, and you will get this auto completed. So you can manually type this as well, or you can auto complete it, system.out.println, and then whatever will be inside these brackets will get printed. So I want to print title, so I will put this here. Now this will print title, whatever title gets stored in this variable will get printed here. In case you also want to append something, you can also say double quotes, I can say title is, and then to append I will say plus, and whatever it will be the value of title will get printed here. So on the console it will print title is and the value of the title. Okay, so let us run this until here and check if everything is working fine. So make sure that you have saved your script, and then you can do a right click, and you should find the option run as Java application. Now in case you don't find this option, make sure that you are adding all this inside a main method, and the main method is declared properly, and you have saved everything. So again I will do a right click and say run as and Java application. So let's see what happens. So it opens the Chrome browser, goes to the application, and if I now, it has not closed because we have not yet added the script to close the browser, so which is fine. And if I go back here, you can see it prints on the console the title is your store login. Okay, and if I want to close the browser after the test, I can also say driver.close, and we can say driver.quit to close the complete session of the browser. Okay, but for now I will comment this out. I have put my cursor here, and now I am pressing Ctrl+/ on my keyboard to comment these lines, or you can just add these double forward slashes. If you're on Mac, instead of Control you will press the command key, command+/. Okay, all right. Now next is we have the wait strategy. So this is important, and we will also learn this in detail, but for now let us see this is the script we can add for the wait strategy. Now we generally we use explicit waits if we have to make sure that if we are doing some action on an element, it should be available, it should be interactable, and so on. But implicit wait is also useful. So basically, before throwing error or exception that the element is not found or it is not able to do the action, there should be some amount of time that we should wait, and that is what we can give here like this. Okay, and based on your application, whether it is slow or fast, you can manage this here. So I will just copy this from here, and this we will add just after declaring the driver WebDriver instance. So after here I will paste this, and you can see as I have pasted this, it shows a error here because for duration we will have to import this duration from java.time library. So I'll click here, and you will see it is imported here. Okay. Okay, now another shortcut and handy way to manage the imports is, if you want to make sure that there are no unnecessary imports here, or the required imports are here, you can just click anywhere inside your script and press Ctrl+Shift+O on your keyboard. Okay, so when you do this, if there are any unnecessary imports, they will go away and it will manage the imports properly. Okay, now we have done this. Now very important thing, after going to the website, after going to any web page, we have to do some interaction with the elements on the page. For example, here we have to add email here, we have to add a password in this password box, and then we have to click on login. Now for this, we first have to find that particular element. So all these elements, text boxes, radio boxes, check boxes, buttons, any text, whatever you see on the web page are elements, and every element has some particular properties like ID, class, etc. And based on these properties, we can locate and find these elements. Okay, so if you go back to the example, you can see here we use the function find element, and then by again is the class, and then we can find by name, by ID, by CSS selector, by XPath, etc. whatever is the available and the best property available for that particular element, and then we can do some actions on that element, like click on a button or add some text in a text box, etc. So here let us say I will first go here, and here I have to find this particular box where I will add the email. So I will say driver dot find, and you can see this is here auto completion box is coming, and we have web element and a list. We don't need a list, we just need a single web element. So I will select this. Okay, and then by dot, now we have all these options: class name, CSS, ID, link text, name, XPath, etc. So let us see what is available for this particular element. So you can go to the element, do a right click and go to inspect, and this will open the backend of the element, and this is the DOM of the element, and here you can see it has highlighted this part which is corresponding to this particular text box. You can also see as I'm highlighting this, it is highlighting the text box here. Okay, so I will again do right click and say inspect. Now if you see here, this has class, value, type, and then all these options are here. ID is also here. So you can see ID, email is here, name is here. So I can use the ID. So I will say buy.id .id, and the ID is, let us see again, the ID is email. You can also just copy from here. And I will show you different ways as well. Okay, so this will find that particular element, and then after this I have to do some action. So I will say dot, and then I will say send keys. So this is the function to send keys or type something. So I will say send keys, and here I will give the text that I have to write. So here this is the email that we have to add here. So I will copy this and add it here. Okay, now this you can also do in two steps. First you find the element, and then we do the action on the element, and for that you can say web element, which is coming from Selenium, and I can say email box or username box equals to, and I will just copy this here. So this email box will store the location of this particular element, which is the email box, and then I can say email box dot send keys, and then the text that I have to add, that is this one. Okay, so this is also one way, or we can do this both in a single line like this. Okay, so let me just comment this one out. I am pressing Ctrl+/ on my keyboard. Okay, and I'm not removing this commented part so that you know the different options we have. Okay, so similarly, now next thing is, for this password box I will again do a right click and say inspect. Now here you can see again we have ID available, and also another way is, once you have highlighted this here, again if you do a right click here and say copy, so you can see we have options to copy selector, copy JS path, copy X path, copy full X path. So this also, from here also we can say, I will say copy selector, and let me see what is the selector it has copied. So if I just put it here, copy paste it here, so you can see this is the again the ID available. Hash means this is the ID. So I can again use the ID. I will say driver dot find element by dot ID, and the ID is this password. Okay, and in some languages we directly use this uh, hashes and dollars. For example, if I go to Python, or let me see if they have any example with that. Maybe in JavaScript. Okay, as of now it is not there, but that's fine. In Java we will have to mention that whether it is ID or name or XPath, and then again I will say send keys, and the password is admin. So I will add it here. Okay, all right. Now next is we have to click on the login button. So again I will go to the login button and do a right click and say inspect, and here you can see for this we just have a class and we don't have many other properties. So I will do right click and say copy, and I will say copy selector or copy XPath. So let me just say XPath, and here I can say driver dot find element by dot XPath, and I will have to give the XPath within this double quotes. So you can see this has a really long XPath, and then I will say dot. Now here I have to say click, so we have a click option available. Okay, and of course we end in Java, we end every statement with a semicolon. Okay, all right. So until here we are able to do the login part here. Okay, so let us first try to run it until here before we proceed. So make sure that you save your script and do a right click, run as. Now I can also directly go to this run button because I have already run it once. So when I click on the run button, it will run this particular script only. Also, when I hover over it, you can see it is saying run basic script 1. That means it will run the script. Or if I go to the drop down, you can also select from here. Okay, so let me run it. So it opens the browser. And okay, so you can see here it has just appended because it was already this was already added. So we will first have to clear whatever is there and then we will have to add it. So what I can do here is, before adding this, I will say, or I can uncomment this part and I will say here email box dot clear. So first it will clear and then it will send these keys. That means that it will write this. And for now I can just comment this one. Okay, so it is adding it here. Let me save and run it again and check. So here, yes, now it is running fine. Okay, also I can do the same thing here as well with password. I can first clear it and then add the password. I will say dot clear first and then add it. And you can see it has opened so many instances of the browser because we are not closing the browser, which is okay for now. I will run it again. So it is running now. Opens the browser, username, password, and yes, it is able to log in now. Okay, so this is working fine until now. Okay, now let us see what is next component. Okay, so you can see we have done this take action on element, so we have already seen this. Okay, now once you have captured or located some element, you can also get some properties like get text, etc. So let's say for this login button, let me say this is my login button. I can say here let me create a web element login button equals to, this will locate the button, and then let's say I want to say login button. I will press control spacebar to autocomplete dot get text, and if I have to print this, I will put this inside system.out.println, or I will say syso and control and spacebar to autocomplete, and this part I can put inside here. So this will print this. Also, if I want to append something before this, I can say text of login button is, and this will print the text. So you can get different properties like this. If I save and run it, let us see what it prints on the console. So this is done, and if I see the console here, so you can see here this is the title and then text of the login button is login. Okay, so this also you can do, and then to end the session we say driver.quit. So now I will just uncomment this part. I again pressed control plus / on my keyboard, and now this time if I run this, you will see that it will also close the browser and quit the session. So it started and it has closed the browser. Let me comment this, driver.quit should be enough. Okay, so this is how you can do it. Okay, now here this is the option. If you want to run from command line and not from the IDE, you can use this, and you can also use Maven just to see, you can say mvn test to run all the tests, or if you want to have to run a specific class or script, you can add that like this. If you see the full example on GitHub, here you can see running Selenium Java tests. So this is how you can run it You can say ambient test compile and then ambient test, which will run all the tests. Or if you have to run a specific file or example or a specific script, you can do it like this by giving the name here. Okay, so this is how you can use all these scripts, and this is the very basic script with very basic components, but this is very important, and this will create the foundation for our next sessions. I hope this was very useful. Thank you for watching and never stop learning.